Welcome back to the channel, Space Cadets. It's the leader of the Cosmic Armada, back to bring you part 2 of the definitive Ordeal tier list video. So if you guys enjoy videos like this, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me where do you guys think your character should be in the tier list. So we're gonna use part 2 to pretty much organize the tier list. Now, Thunky Man, he's the #1 Thunky in the series. I'm waiting on his downfall. He's not moving from the spot. I'm not I'm not changing this nigga. He's not getting changed, bro. He's not getting changed. Now, the bottom of Greyhound tier. I'm cool with putting Granny right here. I'm cool with putting Queer right here. I feel like Greyhound tier is actually pretty good. Now, the only problem is, do you think Captain Revolver belongs above Baron Belly Button? Because the Baron ability is that if he doesn't want to move from a spot, then he won't move. But I feel that because of the Titan technology, that Baron will actually be second to him, because although you're not able to move if you don't want to, the technology bypasses defense. So at that point, do you really feel that Baron would be able to beat Captain Revolver, especially if you know he's the strategist of the Greyhound? I feel like he'll be like, yeah, I feel like he'd be at the top of Greyhound. I feel like this guy is the definition of this tier. Granted, Tachi Baron, he's probably SR rank. But when you think about the people we have in SR rank and their abilities, and the people they fought up until that time, it wouldn't make sense to put Tachi Baron above Greyhound. He got beat up by a 12-year-old. Granted, he was a prodigy who had one of the best talents on the planet. But I feel that Shay, when he first got the Elio state, with Fry, Baron Belly Button. I don't see a problem with you don't see a problem with Greyhound, but you don't see a problem with Greyhound, but the captain would beat him off wits and tech. Yeah, that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. If he doesn't have the technology, it's like taking away his arsenal. So I feel like Greyhound is cool. Now, the only problem that I have is that Brandon, he shouldn't be at the top. Like, he shouldn't be in this position. Now, the guy with the octopus and the guns, do y'all think that Brandon's able to beat him? Brandon has the heated daggers. He has, if I'm not mistaken, he has a sword. He has a gun, the shield, and propulsionary rockets. Would that be enough for him to beat the guy, the octopus guy, who was able to keep Andrea at bay? Someone who's in the top rank 150, even though we didn't organize it. Granted, she was restricted. So let's say she's lower Titan General, higher SR range. Yeah, he's portrayed as next up, but you got to think about Commander Cap. Inspector Ian is basically, yo, Big D-Mat. Inspector Ian himself, he's a superhuman. He's like Captain America. So Brandon, he's actually he's the only regular human, damn near. Him and the other two Greyhounds dead, and I think he's dead too. But Greyhound, so Brandon's the only human. So yeah, he's next up. But do you really think he's gonna be able to beat someone who has to force Shay into state 2? You know, the real Moses had to pull up his crazy. So I feel like he's probably the weakest, just because he just has a sadistic nature. But the hitting gun in the throat is crazy, bro. So, Brandon losing to Sal Beto, for sure. He's losing to Sal Beto. he could probably outmaneuver him, but if he wins against him, it's gonna be extreme diff. It's not gonna be like, oh yeah, Brandon just automatically won because he's no. It's gonna be extreme diff. So I'll put Brandon above him, but hey, but not. But that's about it. Salbito. Yeah, yeah. I think because of the technology, he'll slice through the octopus arms if he's using the sword rather than daggers. Daggers. But I still feel that octopus guy would barely lose. He still feels the pain of him being sliced or burned though. So that could be kind of taken advantage of. But I don't see Brandon going higher than this. Like Sabito with the wind bullets that's able to deflect Ilios flames and also compete with Akantillo, a compressed flame, which means it most likely burns higher than typical flames. And when you think about the science that flame needs winds to ignite, and he was able to completely keep his wind in control while still interacting with flame, just like Ilios flames condense fire, his is condensed wind. I think even if you use the wires to try to outmaneuver him, it's getting cut. I feel like the two moves he was spamming is literally the perfect move to stop Brandon. The wind bullet that you can't see, and the wind blade. Because for Brandon to be ranked higher than him, you would have to say Brandon is faster than Ilios State Shay. And I'm not seeing that. So next, I think because the way I love Darius, but he's not being Sabito. Who who is WS, bro? That acronym matches nobody in here. That doesn't match anything, bro. Now, let's go on to the next one. Oh, Wolf Spider. So it's Sabito beating Wolf Spider. I don't think not Sabito, Salbito. Saobito. Sal. Is Salbito beating Wolf Spider? No. And that's really because Wolf Spider, if he funnels his chi through the ground, he's really able to make his steel like webs be able to come out anywhere. And because he's able to make so many of them with little to no exhaustion of his chi, I feel that because of how versatile his death webs are, he'll be able to edge it out over Salbito. But he wouldn't go further than that because although he has the knife technique, he has a limited number of knives because it's not a creation talent. He enrolled in his father's knives martial arts to increase his attack potency because the strings are typically used to restrain and for defense. So I feel that since he's able to take down armies of regular soldiers or a battalion of a small soldiers and Kimios, but if he's not able to see the person, as you see with when Leo was an adolescent, right before he became an adult, or at least became 17, and Ilios pretty much made the sun to reveal the darkness. The Wolf Spider or Jaime wasn't really able to do anything to Kane's army when it was covered by darkness, even though he's able to funnel his chi through the ground. But since Salbito doesn't have the ability like that can obscure his vision, I'm giving it to Wolf Spider. Barely, but I'm giving it to him. Now, Sabito with the Heart Clan technique. The Heart Clan, not only because of the talent, is looking to the same light as the Hemlock Clan. Like the Hemlock Clan pretty much trade their talent down just like the Heart Clan. So they have that same respect in regards to holding the ancient talent that's been around for a long time. But the Heart Clan is also known for their other members as well. And so if they have their own martial arts and they're one of the top clans, I would see just off martial arts alone that Sabito may be able to actually cut steel, because Jaime, his string only goes as far as the durability of steel, the flexibility of rubber, the elasticity of rubber, but the durability of steel. And I feel that with the Heart Clan's techniques, they're able to actually probably at least get to that rank. And at this time, Sabito is already a god tier. He's not using his talent. So because of the way his base speed was when he was a child, based on his rank now, if he's only using sword technique, yeah, he'll be the Wolf Spider. But I wouldn't put him over anybody who has an OP talent. So for example, although this girl with the mask is on the lower level, matter of fact, although Urahime is one of the weakest Titan generals, right? Because at the time Ryu Gatsgan was the only Titan general, Urahime, Octopus Dude, and Salbito, they was all just regular Titans. You feel me? So I feel because her hide is so strong and she's able to tank rockets and things of that nature, she'll be able to edge out a Sabito if he's only just using the Heart Clan sword martial arts without any talent whatsoever. Hold on. Okay. Y'all cool with SR? Is SR cool? Do we gotta adjust SR? We cool? Does he still get a chi amp? I wouldn't. He's not utilizing chi because you can flow your chi through your weapon to activate your talent, but we haven't seen any cutting kata except with Muramasa, and at that point, Muramasa is using a talent because it's an object possessed weapon that's able to use anything in regards to just strictly chi. Chi is uh, it's not really a straight offensive ability. We haven't seen anyone be able to flow pure chi through a weapon like how Azam uses chi for the Kirin 5-point palm, because Azam has two applications of chi where he either burns it for speed or he uses pure chi to attack. We haven't seen Sabito do that, so it wouldn't be fair to be like he did that. You can assume he can do it, but what you're telling me at that point, that with him just being able to flow chi through his blade, he's able to cut through a hide, which I can believe, but he's able to cut through lasers, stop someone with a black hole ability, stop someone like Janelle. That's the whole thing about it. That's still her. Elliot allows her to move faster because that's the ability of Elliot. She don't just move faster. That's why her speed is reduced depending on the weapon she uses. Asgear, she's more flashy. She's a lot slower. Muramasa is her balance weapon. Elliot is her speed weapon. And now Gary, that motherfucker a gamble. But you could say that's her amp weapon, since it amplified the abilities of the Kimio. So at that point, what would you say? What would you say? because Andrea, just based on how the talents work, she's a state talent holder, right? Because we never get explained what type she is, but she's able to enter different states depending on what weapon she touched. So it changes her talent type depending on what weapon she has. Exactly. Unless this nigga got like a Muramasa Butosa Bato size, some shit, Battosai, cutting kata, then I don't see that being the case. Now, let's start with the Titan General one. I feel that Janelle, he's back here. I feel that hmm, just based on the way she was portrayed. So Janelle was able to tank a explosion that was supposed to take out a top 150 ranked Kimio with his shell, but he was squished to death. He wasn't. He was being squished by mass, a huge object. He wasn't necessarily beaten through technique. So I feel that, and that she's able to put all her mass together and Shazam this nigga. Hmm. So the laser girl from the end of season 2, where y'all got her? No, I think John Nell will be right here. And then we have Ryu God's Gone at the top. Ryu God's Gone at the top. Yeah, Ryu is peak. Ryu is what really taught us what it means to be a Titan General. So him being at the peak of it, and I don't think, and when you get into the aspect of him making a black hole, even if Luis was able to compress a a a 3 nuke explosion that has the capacity or power of 3 nuclear explosions, he wouldn't be able to do that for a black hole. Because the way that ferromagnetic grip works is that as long as Ryu comes in contact with your chi, or his chi comes in contact with you or your chi, he's able to use ferromagnetic grip. Meaning that once the ash touches him, his chi has literally made in contact, or him physically has made in contact with Luis, in which he's able to control Luis' magnetic field. Meaning he could push Luis far back away, and also his ash as well, since that's connected to his chi. So he can control the magnetic field of the ash, no matter how minute or how light the element is, it still contains one. So I would see him pretty much being able to push back Luis' ash. So it wouldn't matter if he's able to do anything if he's not able to get close to him, or close enough to the point where he has to come in physical contact at range. Because the further he pushes his ass out, the more chi he has to use, the more constructs he uses, that much more chi has to be created. So once he creates that black hole, and everything in between the inner and outer field begins to get destroyed, that will essentially mean if there's any ash in between the inner and outer field, Luis' ash field would essentially, or Luis' ash would essentially become non-existent, thus making his talent a lot weaker. So the longer that they stay fighting, especially if Ryu is in his state form, Luis, the gap in skill will be apparent. So I still feel that Luis will be able to beat Kaz by itself, but I don't think he'll be able to beat Ryu by himself. Eventually, Azam is going to be stronger than Luis and making it to the top 150 range, right? But as of right now, Azam is behind Luis because of his mindset. His mindset is keeping him weaker. Because he's able to run on water, but he's not able to run on air. Because if you think about the mythology, the carrion pretty much prances through the air. That's how it flies. It's not like a Pegasus. So now, when you take that into consideration, he should be able to run in the air, but his own mindset is halting his progress, which is why he's still behind Luis. And the person stopping Luis from going into the top 150 is Ryu Gazgan. And everyone in the top 150 is beating Ryu. Now, Cass. The insinuatory art will have the toughest times with the laser because they're going to come in contact with them before they can be sent to them. But because of the nuclear explosion, I don't feel that she would win. Because the only reason they survived Miguel or wherever Inspector Ian talent is before he goes to jail, because I think he broke a law. Because technically he wasn't supposed to take the serum. I think it's illegal to take it. I think they said that like chapter 70 something or 80 something. So I feel like he'll edge it out with the nuke, but I don't see her at this current point in time with what we have that she's able to actually do it. Like, granted, Val sent her to go get the serum of life, so she may be actually around the top 150 range, but because of lack of feats, I gotta put her around the Titan Killer range, just because of the lack of feats. Cass feats outpace hers. Now, I said that the only way you'll be able to beat Cass is... Okay, now I said the only way you'll be able to beat Cass is if you're able to A, have enough defense to bypass, to tank a nuke, be able to compete with nuke power-wise, or be able to stop him when he gets the nuke. Now, we know that Chemios in the past are a lot powerful. Cass doesn't have a mythic or I say mythological. I'm thinking of One Piece. Cass doesn't have an ancient talent. He doesn't have any chi egos. It's just technically an ordinary talent with Anu Ankh amped on top of it, right? However, we see that blunt attacks work on him, which would mean slash attacks work on him. And if you take into account that Jack was not only able to beat a lower tier army, but he was able to actually speed blitz that army while they was looking at him. Meaning, he's not as fast as Azam, but he has a higher attack potency and reach than Azam. So, even if he were to get hit, he could still pretty much tie, or yeah, he could pretty much tie with Cass. I'm not seeing anything saying that he can't tie with Cass. So because of Cass having two different talents, and it's able to tank the damage of a nuke, I'll put Cass above Jack the Ripper. Jack the Reaper. Y'all thought I was arguing for Jack to go above? No, I'm just letting you know his feats. Because Cass can still fly high up in the sky. They was way higher than any buildings over there. So we don't know exactly how far Jack can stretch his intestines. But it wouldn't matter. The nuke taking out Jack, whether he stops Cass or not, he doesn't have anything that's going to actually be able to shield him from an attack that big. So he's below him. Now, do I want to put Jack? So based off portrayal, she's technically above Jack. Technically. But because of lack of feats, she's below Jack. Are y'all cool with that? Or should I put the laser girl with the laser mask lady? Should I put her above Jack? Because I'm not seeing any reason why she should be above him. Now, we got the title general range, cool. The title general range is cool now. Now we're on to the top 150 range. So now, the weakest in the top 150 is Tevin. He may lack feats. He's still a god tier, so that automatically low-key puts him above everybody else. Low-key. Now, rokash. I put rokash third. Third in top 150. Tevin weakest. I think this current Shay is stronger than 17-year-old Leo, because if you look at Leo, looks like he mastered state 1. However, we know that he eventually goes into a point where he gets war state minus the avatars because he lacks the chi. So this Shay currently stronger than Leo. However, this Shay isn't stronger than Anton. He has the attack potency to take on armies. He has an ability that you can't dodge. But as you can see, it can be clearly sliced through. Now, when you think about the Wolf Cubs, with the season 3, we see that Andrea is part of the pack. So when they say Anton is the strongest, Andrea hasn't mastered Naogiri. Anton goes up one more rank. Now, do y'all think that Andrea loses to Shay? War State Shay? That's the question. Because y'all let me know down below. Y'all think she's gonna lose to War State Shay? Because if I think about her arsenal, not only can she technically speed blitz Shay, she can cut through Tomas. She has absolute defense. That pretty much weight doesn't matter. I think Tomas is probably going through it. But Shay takes too much chi. So I feel that they're close. I feel that Andrea and Shay is really close to one another. But because of Shay not having good chi control or chi management, that he's lower than her. I don't think she could last as long as she did against Val, aka Dripple. That's funny. That's hilarious. No, I say they last about the same. I say they last about the same. Now, I can't put Anton in front of Rokash because Rokash had a god tier type opponent, Shook. But I'll get into that. Probably, I'll get into that fight more with the Rokash, with the Rokash video. Now, the only reason I have k.o.d.e over Rokash and Anton is because of Shepherd's Mask. Because when you think about Shepherd's Mask, Val asks k.o.d.e, is he not enough? To the point where he has to bring out that mask. Meaning that mask is potentially pose a power that's stronger than Val. So, if there's a potential of that, Rokash, yeah, he's able to tank. He's able to take attacks up to 3 nukes. But based off k.o.d.e's martial arts expertise, teleportation, ankh, corrosion may not even work. Because he's gonna move out the way. Then you have the aspect of him using the Anu Anak blast. Those blasts don't cut you down to the atom. They're just regular attack based blasts. They're not hex based blasts. So if he's using that for defense, because the pyramid in this form automatically goes under his feet, he wouldn't be able to outlast Kagai, who's able to pretty much destroy those pillars with ease just based off broken wind pressure. And then he has to continue to use his chi to repair him, and which is the reason why he pretty much lost. It was a battle of attrition. So just like Shay has chi control problems, so does Rokash. His abilities is just stronger. I'll take Gaia over Rokash. I believe they are relative. No, for sure. I feel like they're relative too. That's why they're so close. Now, the Royal Blood tier. I feel like he's weaker than Chao Gaku. He just lack of feats. Corrosion Gaki. So, Corrosion Gaki. I'm gonna put Blood Gaki above Corrosion Gaki for right now, and the Fox Shift Gaki, and the Sub-Zero Gaki, because he was able to compete with the God tier. Now, he should be lower. We never see him fight. Last on the list. Now, the reason I got the Taurus guy above Orion, even though he has the highest amount of chi, so theoretically he'll be able to take his talent. But Kevin or Katagita said that if he stopped underestimating himself, he'll be just as strong or almost as strong as the number one, which is Katagita / Kevin Morales. So I'm gonna have to have him higher up. Now, with the way Levy talent works, with him having that restriction-based talent, we know that Iron Gaki was basically sealed, right? So you have to be able to bypass Infinity to be able to get past someone like Levy, right? Wow. All Orion has to do is absorb your chi. So the Orion and Levy debate is a lot harder. But because Goro only has healing hacks, he's above Blood Gaki. Because Blood Gaki only displayed cutting attacks, and we see with Andrea, cutting attacks doesn't work on Nyudo or Masamune. However, I don't think he's gonna be able to bypass the infinity that's provided by Levi's creation talent, Infinity Cube or Hako, because he has to literally have chi that bypasses infinity, or he's inside of an impenetrable wall. So essentially, he can still get sealed. So because of hacks, Levy is above him, but because Levy doesn't have a higher chi limit than Orion is above Levy. But because he is comparable to Kevin, he's higher than Orion. And Tobias and Mr. Biason, Benefesh, she's the top of Royal Blood tier. I feel like she should stay there because she's one already a god tier. So it'll make sense given the title. Two, she has a mastery over her talent. It's instantaneous. She can attack you anywhere, any direction, at any point in time. So because of her hacks and the way she utilizes it, I put her at the top or second. Well, at the top because we see her feats, but lack of feats doesn't, the statement for Orion places him under him, but also places him over everybody else in the Royal Blood tier. Now, I'll be happy with the Royal Blood tier. Benefits Tobias in number 1, Kevin's Hand number 2, Orion number 3, Levy number 4, Muramasa number 5, Blood Gaki. We're gonna call him Cryo Gaki or Frozen Gaki because we don't know his power. Shift Gaki, Corrosion Gaki. See, because Corrosion Gaki is close to Val, I'm gonna put him right there. Then we got Fake Sub-Zero, Shift, Nine-Tail Shift, Beast Shift or Dog Shift, and then the weakest of the Royal Blood tier at the last spot of the Glory tier. Now, we're going to organize the God tier. Okay. So, Jury last. Lack of feats. She stated to be a God tier, and she's able to conceal herself, but that's all we really got for her. She really don't have any actual feats in the story. So now, baby folks. All right. So I'm still under the impression that the Gakis are able to beat the God tier. Not beat him, but are relative to the God tier. And because Herculean Gaki was the Blood Gaki thought Herculean Gaki was gonna steal his kill, just going to show that Blood Gaki was not only playing around, but just showing how strong Herculean Gaki is compared to him. I'm gonna put him right above. I think that's the 9th God tier. Mikhail. Now, Isamu's going further back. Val and Euron being relative to each other makes sense. Baby folks is able to bypass it. Baby folks is able to bypass Infinity because Levy said even if I use all of my ability or to the best of my ability, I don't know Infinity Cube is gonna be able to take all 4 pillars. So him being over someone like Euron who's able to have something that is ability that can be viewed for space makes sense. Kofi is right behind the great talents, so it makes sense to put him right here. Subito, he's a pseudo great talent. So the only people who should be above Subito while he's using Hisame is great talent users. Just based off the feats, based off the statements as well. He has literally the best chi control that we've seen to date in the series. Now, Valdic, the current okeanos holder, I think that he's weaker than the we're gonna call it the Crusader era, the Christian Crusader era, Thanatos vessel. Just because he's the reason why he has the army in the first place. You feel me? Bro, I never remember. Bro. Bro. Now, I feel that because of his understanding of his talent and him being able to manipulate energy on the atomic level, he'll be able to edge out against this vessel of Cain. Because technically, based off the statements in the story, it would be like that. But if you keep in mind that he was unalived and that he's able to compete on a atomic level in regards to his energy manipulation, because technically the more amount of energy that you're able to control, it's actually not that way. Your control over energy becomes greater the smaller the amount of energy you are controlling. So if you're able to let's say, redirect lightning. That shows less control over energy that's pulling two atoms apart. So, because of the lack of feats, I'm going to have to put this version of Kane below this version of, matter of fact, honestly, if I'm being honest, they're supposed to switch like this. They're supposed to switch like that. Because if you think about the prophecy states that all three talents have to come together to take him out. But because he had so many souls in him, Leo was able to exploit the blind side of this Kane's talent with one hit to allow the souls to dissipate, and that in turn unalive this Kane. However, this Kane was never shown to be unalive because of that exploitation, which you have to assume that he was taken out by the other three great talents, right? So that would mean this current Kevin, who would be stronger, as you see with the tier list, than this current Leo, would be stronger than that Kane during Leo time, but weaker than the Kane that would take all three of the other great talents to subjugate. But this is what we get for our list. Let me remove my video over my camera, and we're gonna go through it. So the weakest person is Lady Aluminum, followed by Quill, followed by the Double Greyhounds, followed by Sunrise. The Thunky tier doesn't need to be mentioned because the niggas trash, the niggas thunky. Then we got Tachi Baron. Then we got Captain Revolver at the head of Greyhound tier. Mr. Octopus, Brandon above Mr. Octopus and SR. Sal Beto getting beaten by Wolf Spider. Wolf Spider getting beaten by pure Heart Clan Sword Technique Sabito. Sabito's getting outpaced by people with talents, such as someone with an OP talent like this high that could pretty much increase their durability. Janelle, Laser Lady, Jack the Reaper, because of the Kimio being more powerful. Back in time, we have to include that statement and include that in the tier list. But he's not able to out-tank a nuke, so Cass. Azam would still be able to beat Cass, outrun, but the city would explode. Luis can diss the nuke, is able to beat Azam, probably with high difficulty due to speed, but will be able to beat him because of versatility. Ryu Gutsgon beats everybody in Tiger General because of hacks. Tevin had a moral quandary in which that was the only reason he wasn't able to beat Ryu or had that long of a fight with Ryu once he got used to his talent. Leo currently is still outpacing Tevin because of him being able to basically beat Kane. But due to Shay having a higher degree of mastery in Ilios right now, or because Shay has a higher access to a higher degree of power of Ilios, not the experience, and he would edge out the win because of power, not experience. He wouldn't be able to beat Andrea because of her kit's too versatile, and Shay Chi control is still lacking. He gets tired too quick. Anton is stated to be the strongest out of all the Wolf Cubs, and Andrea is still considered one of the Wolf Cubs. Rokash atomic ability bypasses Anton's ability because it cuts everything on the atomic level. So even if Kong is there, if he gets damaged, Kong could potentially be unalive. Kagaya's Shepherd's Mask is what edges him out over Rokash. He's here because he's a god tier. He just doesn't have the kids in the picture, so I can't put him up there with the god tier because he don't got his team with him. He's the weakest of the Royal Blood tier because he's the hand to the weakest of the god tier. He lacks feats as well. He has more feats than him, and was about to fight Orion, or his dog was pretty much fighting Orion. I mean, they're somewhat relative, but because of how easy Orion dealt with him, Shouldn't be any problem with that. Um, we know one of Orion's strongest abilities wasn't able to really work on him, but the Fox guy should probably be behind him. However, because he's going to be revealed later on in the story, he's most likely maybe stronger than him. Sub-Zero called both of them bums. Just going to show the way he was introduced, he should be in a higher tier than them. Hiroji Gaki is basically Val's right-hand man. He's his muscle. Blood Gaki above Corrosion Gaki because he was seen fighting the god tier. However, due to him only showing cutting ability, Masamune pretty much healing factor nullifies cutting abilities. However, that healing factor doesn't bypass affinity. Orion's above Levy's affinity because Orion states to have one of the highest chi pools, so that makes he can subjugate Hako, aka Infinity Q, because he can pretty much overcome Levy's infinity or chi due to having the higher chi limit. Tower's guy is able to compete with Kevin if he's pretty much stopped downing himself. Granny Tobiasen, she didn't get any stronger from Bjorn's death, so I don't see her as a god tier. Weakest god tier member, higher than that god tier, was stated to be a problem, or baby folks will have to at least use his full power to be able to beat Herculean Gaki. Masamune, although weight doesn't mean anything, he's gonna fight. He revealed his talent when fighting or attempting to fight the B shift talent holder. Corona was higher than them. I think Val talent would still beat her. Granted, she's higher than Yorn, but Yorn was a god tier just based off of Mortal High, not off the second portion of his talent. So I got her weaker. Val's weaker than Yorn. Granted, he survived, but if Yorn didn't have to actually help the army, Yorn would have killed Val. So Yorn's higher than Val. Baby Folks is able to actually bypass the infinity. So he's higher than him. Kofi is right outside the 4 great talents. So he's the Sabito of this age. Although he doesn't have any feats, he's still the Sabito of this age, just based off statements. Sabito just based off statements and feats. Nobody's fucking with him outside of the main 4 great talents. Then you have Okeanos. We don't know how strong he is, but even with him being able to control water, he's not able to control the water that's in the air. Because if a place has heat and it has cooling, then there has to be water molecules in the air, or at least the air being cool. So he's unable to affect it on that level, which means he's low-key weaker than k.o.d.e, which goes to show. I don't think that with his vast ability he'll be able to exploit Kane's weakness, because he'll be thinking too big, which is why I have Kane on the Leo tier above him. But Leo exploited his weakness. So although Leo is this low, this Leo without mastery, complete mastery of his talent. It's just Leo with state 1 mastery. Well, really, technically, state 1 up to state 2. So basically, Shay, when he fights Salbedo, and still is restrained because the hostages. So with taking all that into account, like the story elements as well. He has the highest. Kevin has the highest feat to the series. However, because of prophecy, we know that only the 4 great talents, or the other 3 great talents out of the 4, is able to take down this 4th great talent. Life through death. So this Kane, we don't know how he died, but because of prophecy, we have to assume that those hosts of storm, ocean, and sun will have to jump him in order for him to reincarnate and for this Kane to get the talent. Which is why the list is the way it is. So if you guys have any problems with my list, let me know down below. Again, like I said, I knew this was going to be a long video, which is why I broke this up into 2 parts. Sabito is peak strength, the alpha chemia outside of the foe. For sure. For sure. But anyways, it's been your boy wolphnara. Like, comment, and subscribe. Nexus, cue that intro.
You know we like foreign shit. Call it Cabo Cartier. From Korea to Japan, look like baller body, yeah. Know I'm feeling like the man when it's cushy in the air. Know I'm kissing on her neck, now her tushy in the air. You know niggas talking shit, but we fried and we don't care. You know I am so unique, you can't clone me, I'm too rare. My aesthetic be too sleek, gentleman, I'm debonair.